You're not reading anything. Mark,
No, I'm not. I'm not.
what's going on? How are you?
Nothing much. I feel like I've read everything that the Absolute Universe had to offer us already.
Everything, even some
Oh,
stuff you didn't want to read, you
yeah, I
read.
will tell you, even looking back on it, I don't think it was as bad as I played it up to be. It was okay.
Yeah. This is because there's no DC issues this past week, so absolutely no absolute issues either. We're going to do the absolute look back at 2025 and the look forward to 2026, and we'll get to all of that right after this. Before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe. Don't forget to leave us a comment. Hit the notification bell so you're alerted whenever we upload new content. But yeah, we just thought, obviously the calendar's changing from 2025 to 2026. As with everything that you probably have seen in the past week, it's time to look back at 2025 and look ahead to what we know is coming in 2026. So this was the first full year of Absolute. The Absolute universe started in October of 2024, coming out of the All In special with Absolute Batman #1. That was the first one. And so we've got now 15 issues of Absolute Batman in the books. We've got 14, I think, of Wonder Woman, or maybe 15 of Wonder Woman 2, and 14 of Superman. So we've got a full year under all of those. But phase 2 came in 2025 as well, with Absolute Flash, Absolute Green Lantern, and Absolute Martian Manhunter. So, the one thing I will say about the Absolute Universe is it is on fire. It has just basically blown the doors off of everything that it's doing. The best thing I can say about it is I think it really has brought some people back to the stores. Um, and going there on Wednesdays to make sure that they're getting the latest issue. Now, do they sell more than Marvel? No, they don't. But part of that is because Marvel prints like 50% more titles than DC does. But if you look,
You're
at
talking
least
about into like total sales across the company, you mean?
total sales across the company,
Yeah,
yeah,
because if we're being honest, the Absolute line is out as individual titles are outselling Marvel every
correct,
single month. They're
correct,
killing Marvel.
right. But on a month-to-month
Mhm.
basis, if you just take all of Marvel and all of DC, Marvel is still ahead. But again, that's because they're printing way many more titles than DC is. But to your point, if you look at any of the best of lists or the top 20s, top 10s from any particular week or month over the past couple of months, they've been dominated pretty much by DC for the most part.
Yeah, they're like you said, they've absolutely brought people back. People are coming in large numbers to check out the Absolute Universe. And it's fun to reflect back on it, Paul, because it was about a year ago. I guess it was right before Absolute Batman launch. We were talking about it. I even made a whole video on how people were clowning the Absolute Batman. Like before it kicked off, there was a large group, like the vast majority of people that were talking about it online were making fun of the way it looked, the idea of it being an ultimate Marvel ripoff. They're making fun of Batman's logo. I did an entire video saying people are pissed about Absolute Batman, telling people that you are crazy to bet against Scott Snyder on Batman.
Mm-hmm.
The most definitive Batman story is Scott Snyder's run on Batman, unless you go back to the 80s. Like you have to go far back to get to the Neil Adams era of Batman to have something to compare to what Scott Snyder did, even past Nightfall. And
Right.
people were making fun of it who just didn't know better, who weren't around for his stuff, or they were just Marvel fans. But this universe, as well as like the shift in the movies, people gave it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
They were listening to the hype. They liked the idea of getting in at the ground floor. And Scott Snyder, as well as the other creative teams on these titles across the board, came prepared for them. DC was absolutely prepared for a wave of new readers to come try their books out. From Kelly Thompson on Wonder Woman winning the Eisner for what she did on there.
Mm-hmm.
And Jason Aaron, what he's
Aaron.
doing on Superman, which is just insane. And we just saw the grand finale to his story arc last week that we covered. So they were completely prepared for this influx of readers. And it's just different enough that it feels wide open to a whole audience, but it's still familiar enough for the old time readers to enjoy it as a true version of these characters, but in a different way we've never seen before.
Yeah,
Perfect.
absolutely. And that's, the key is to keep that kernel, that little tiny thing of, what is the essence of the character. But having done that, you can do almost anything beyond that as long as you keep what the essence of the character is.
Mhm.
And to your point, Scott Snyder probably in the past, probably almost it was 2011 when we got the New 52, right? So almost 15 years. Um, has probably between Absolute Batman and The Court of Owls have written probably the two most seminal Batman stories of the past 15 years. Um,
Way beyond 15 years.
yeah, exactly. Um, and they brought on the Jason Aaron, who worked for DC a long time ago for Vertigo. He did Scalped and things like that, but he had been Marvel, for years. So they brought him in, and it really was kind of, in a lot of ways, it was okay. You know what? You do what you want to do as long as you keep to that. What is the essence of the character? What makes Superman Superman? What makes Batman Batman? What makes Wonder Woman Wonder Woman? Um, and it's just we've had you know different takes on Batman's rogues gallery and how he basically knew them. He grew up with them. They were all they were poker buddies. Um, we had a new take on Bane and a new take on the Joker.
Kai-
That
Kaiju Bane.
exactly Kaiju Bane.
And I would say my favorite rogue out of the ones that we were shown, it's got to be the way that they designed Croc.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, Kaiju Bane, big body, tiny little head.
Yeah.
Um,
I
uh,
love that really long snout Croc. I think that's cool. He's been drawn like kind of with a longer snout, but nothing like extreme like this. It's truly an extreme take on all these characters. But
mhm,
that itty bitty kaiju body, itty bitty head Bane was hilarious to me.
right. Um, Wonder Woman. The twist on Wonder Woman
Wow.
was, like she's basically, the epitome of virtue and goodness and justice and everything. Well, what if she grew up in hell?
Yeah.
You know,
So plant her into hell. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So that was the twist. Again, she had all of the, and what if she didn't know, you know, or what if she couldn't say the word Amazon? You know, what if she kind of knew what they were, but she wasn't allowed to say it? And what if she didn't believe that any other Amazons even existed anymore?
And how
Um,
incredible. It was like one of the twists of the year. And I know it's been a little while, it was early in the year. It's easy for us to forget, but all of us were shocked when they revealed that she's one armed.
mhm, right.
The tattooed arm, we were wondering what the tattoos were from the initial design. And after a handful of issues, it's revealed that it's a magic arm. It's not really there. Uh, uh, she's an amputee
Mhm,
from events where a sacrifice that she made to save a life earlier on. Like that was incredible.
mhm.
Like jaw on the floor moan, like you're kidding me. That's insane.
um, and Superman. What if his suit was actually, was sentient, and it was basically the remnants of what was Krypton? It was basically everything that Krypton was, its knowledge, and everything else was basically in the suit that Superman wore.
And they didn't reinvent Krypton, but they reshuffled the caste system of
Right.
Krypton. They didn't really move people around too much in it. The L's are still like highly smart. Unfortunately, they were assigned to a working class, and I thought that was interesting. I love that he grew up on a farm, but it was on Krypton. He didn't leave as a baby; he left as a teenager. That changed so much of the dynamic of the Kal-El we have on Earth that remembers home,
Mhm.
that longs for a home, and he finds these comparisons here. And that was brilliant. We saw the
It was,
most
and
vicious.
and I say, to your point, he leaves when he's older. It gave us the ability to have him see Krypton being destroyed and have him see that his parents aren't going to be with him, and that brought a whole nother layer of tragedy, sadness to the story.
And the way they showed it as well, like his parents managed to get more than just him off that planet,
Mhm,
but it was so last minute that they didn't survive. They all didn't survive the crazy takeoff, but they did it in a way that you can easily write survivors into this. Like I know in the main DC line, the last son of Krypton, but we're introduced to an awful lot of Krypton in the 85 years. There's a lot of people like Loophole here, Phantom Zone here.
right.
I left earlier here, but this one, there's actually a lot of escape pods that went up that just looked to have not made it. So there's a really a wide door open for a lot of Kryptonians in the absolute universe for without having to go back and write in all these loopholes. So that'll be interesting to see as well.
Yeah, and the big bad that he fights in his first, if you count the two 6-issue story arcs that make up the first year, it basically, who would have thought Batman's number 2 or number 3 villain is basically Superman's number 1, Ra's al Ghul. You would think it would be General Zod, but ends up being Ra's al Ghul. We don't even see Lex Luthor until the end of Forever Evil, Absolute Evil. Sorry, Absolute Evil, and just basically at the very end, like 2 or 3 pages, and that's it. So we haven't. Jason Aaron hasn't even gotten to Lex Luthor yet.
Nope. Haven't gotten to anybody other than Brainiac when it comes to actual Superman villains. And we got one of the most sadistic, maniacal, disgusting versions of Brainiac ever. He's just a twisted freak of a mad scientist with a hive mind. And we saw what can create an outcome like that with this whole live, die, repeat cycle of the Brainiacs. But that was a wicked single issue of comics right there.
Yeah. And I'm going to do the same thing with the Joker. We've seen the Joker sporadically over the first year, but nothing really that until issue 15 that just came out, not too long ago. But Snyder basically did the first year of Batman without the Joker for the most part. Aaron did the first year of Superman without Lex Luthor. So you can imagine when they bring these two characters fully into the stories, how much the hype they're going to generate, for that as well.
It was wild. I think one of them that really just kind of laid the characters on strong, though, in ways that never seen before, was what we got with Green Lantern, because it is packed. It is packed with characters.
Yeah, and again, a whole another take on the Green Lantern lore, and Abin Sur is totally different.
That was nuts.
Exactly. We have Joe Mullen, who's the head, the star basically of Absolute Green Lantern. But we've seen John Stewart, we've seen Hal Jordan, who is the Black Hand. We've seen Guy Gardner,
Mark Shaw, Todd.
Yep.
Hector Hammond, Simon Baz.
Yeah, we've seen we
Sinestro,
brought a lot of people.
Kilowog. Dude, there's so many characters.
Tomorray.
The most interesting thing was the complete redesign and structure to what the light spectrum Guardian is. There's no Guardians of Oa. There is no police force aspect to this. They made Abin Sur a designation more than an individual. We're introduced to 3 primary light colors: green, gold, and red. And inside these 3 light spectrums, you almost have 3 different levels you can be at of enlightenment. You can be aware, you can be active, or you can be above it, like kind of like clear or whatever. And I thought that was an interesting way to set it all up. And it really it's interesting to see how all of these different things are interacting with each other, because we're really just scratching the surface right now. It's kind of been like almost like a book of survival for these characters that are just experiencing these cosmic entities and occurrences for the first time. And they're just giving us the little bits as we go, and we're getting to put it together. We really only had one issue where it showcased space and Kilowog out there dealing with Mogo, who's like the lead entity of the Black, like the Black Hand or whatever it's going to end up being. But we saw Sinestro out there, just this weird looking Sinestro, like looked like an amalgamation of other entities and stuff. It's wild. The sky is really the limit on that one. I don't have a clue where Al Ewing is going with this, and that's the most enjoyable part of it. It's so unpredictable.
Yeah, again, another creator who hasn't done really much work for DC at all, brought on board for the Absolute Universe. Jeff Lemire came back. He's also doing JSA, but he came back after being away from DC for a while, and he's doing Absolute Flash. And talk about a rogues gallery. There's a huge rogues gallery in the Absolute Flash, but you kind of find out that they're on the same side as Wally West. And they're basically fighting against Eleanor Thawne, who is the grandson of Eobard Thawne, who apparently, for lack of a better term, found the Upside Down.
Yeah, through his science experiments, he opened another dimension and trying to gain access to it. Thought to have died in the science experiment. She picked up his stuff, and now she's trying through mad science to finish her grandfather's work, and Wally gaining powers is an unfortunate, unexpected outcome of it. Now he's the key to opening the door.
Yeah, we had Jay Garrick is in there somewhere. We don't know what's going on somewhere.
We don't even know if Barry Allen's a good guy or not. It seems
Right.
like they revealed that he was actually working with her the whole time.
Yeah. But we get different takes. Pretty much Captain Cold. Weather Wizard looks a little bit different, but he's pretty much got the same
Like
powers.
Gandalf.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, really. You shall not pass.
Yeah.
But we get a whole different take on Gorilla Grodd.
Mhm.
Gorilla Grodd is just this little tiny monkey instead of this
Rides on
huge
your
gorilla.
shoulder. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like it
exactly.
better small.
Yeah.
It's more like chimpanzee Grodd.
Yeah, it's kind of more like the Why the Last Man monkey than it is
Yeah.
but that could actually talk to York if there was
Yeah.
if there was in there.
I think Heatwave was the biggest design difference we saw out of any of them, because it's like a man that like is like controlling the like liquid magma covering his body almost like a mech. I didn't realize there was a person in there until Wizard zapped him.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So we're just getting into, again, there are probably about 8 or 9 issues in, maybe 10. We're just getting into, they're gonna basically, I think, dive headfirst into whatever this thing is that Eobard Thawne created. So that's where they're going next. And like you said, Wally West is the key. And probably the most unique of the titles is Absolute Martian Manhunter, again by a guy who had been doing some work for Marvel, Dennis Camp. He's doing the Ultimates, I believe, I think, for Marvel. And he's doing in Javier Rodriguez, and he's doing some weird stuff.
To say the least, a story was written, pictures were drawn, and those two things did not come together.
Yeah,
they were included inside the pages of the same comic.
Yeah. He definitely has done something unique with the medium, I will say. In the very first issue, he introduced us to Martian Vision, which, for lack of a better term, is kind of hold the comic book up to the light, and see what you see. And basically, you see obviously what's on this side, but then because it's the light, you can see what's on the other side too, and the two of them together make one picture between the front and the back of the page. So he uses that a couple times,
and you can look at that page.
Exactly, he does it. He's done it 3 times now. He did it in issue 1, he did it in issue 6, and then he did it again in issue 7. So you had mentioned in our last deep dive that it was the only one of these that was solicited as a mini series. But before even issue 1 came out, just based on pre-sales, they extended it to 12. And because of that, they took a little hiatus between 6 and 7 to try to get everything caught up. So, but you get, it's basically the Martian Manhunter is inside John Jones. It's inside his psyche and his consciousness, and he's basically fighting against the White Martian, and that's pretty much it. But
that is it.
That is it. But we also had, besides that, we had a couple of other issues. We had Absolute Evil, which
so freaking good.
By the end of the title, we realized it was actually Absolute Justice, which brought together all of the bad guys from the different stories. One thing was, in the new comic book day, I wanted to mention too, we also got our first look at Absolute Mirror Master. We have not seen him again since, but we're promised that we will see him in 2026. But we know that he's coming to Absolute Flash as well. So, but yeah, we had almost kind of like they were at the Hall of Chaos, and it was Ra's al Ghul, and it was a Joker, and it was
Veronica,
and it was Eleanor Thawne, and it was all those people, and you basically got a real good story about how the Absolute universe is different than the main DC universe.
Yeah, told to us by the Joker himself, who's been running these experiments and getting down to like the quantum science of this world, and realize that there's this particle, like how we have the Higgs boson particle that in our real world, and this Absolute world they have this omega particle, which creates chaos. So like the natural order of the Absolute world is to move toward chaos. That is what is right and good in that world. The outcome is chaos, and the Joker has discovered that.
Mhm. Yeah. And we see for the first time, we see Absolute Hawkman.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and we
Savage.
and we see Absolute Green Arrow
Yeah, he's not
briefly.
doing too hot.
He's not. Yeah, he
No,
doesn't.
they introduced us to Absolute Green Arrow just for him to be a victim of the Savage Hawkman that kind of gave us some of the I don't know, leveled up the Hawkman. And look at his wings made of like sinew and bone and stuff. That's creepy. Wearing what looks like Black Hawk's uniform almost.
Mhm. Yeah. So, but we are promised that we will get more Absolute Green Arrow in 2026.
Won't be
Um,
Ollie.
it may be Ollie because it is rumored that it's going to be a horror story. So
Maybe
um,
Zatanna brings him back to life.
maybe, yeah. That's the other thing in Absolute Wonder Woman. We've been introduced to Absolute Zatanna, who is promised to be a bigger character now. They're moving into the next arc with her, Absolute Zatanna. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to see in 2026. We're going to see Absolute Green Arrow. Who knows what else we're going to see? But we have one more thing, 2025, the best of. Um,
The annual.
Probably the end. Yeah, it was if you watched at year's end this past Sunday, or the Sunday before, because this will be next week. Um, my story of the year was the Absolute Batman Annual 2025. It was amazing. It was, I think, for all of the hype and all of the poo pooing of it ahead of time, and people just read it and read it for what it was.
It
I
was
really think
incredible.
it was incredible. It was basically, where we've been led to believe for the entire year that, Absolute Batman is this big, brash, you know, hulk of meat that, just beats up on criminals and anything, when we come to find out that really all he is he's just a young boy who wants to do right by his dad.
Mhm. We,
And
we saw
and
it.
thinks
We saw his
thinks
moral
he isn't.
compass.
Yeah. And thinks he
Yeah.
isn't.
And what happens to him when he thinks he's not.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it was incredible.
Yeah.
Beautifully illustrated by Dana Warren Johnson. Beautifully written. Just yeah,
Yeah.
it was a solid book.
Absolutely. But now 2026, again, we got coming up. The first thing we got coming up within, I think, maybe even next week, is this is the main cover to Absolute Batman Arkham Arc M special. So for those of you who don't know, Arkham in the Batman universe is actually ARK-M, because there are arcs around the world, and the arcs are these places that the Joker has funded, that he uses for experimentation, or to keep people in prison, or whatever it happens to be, whatever it needs them for. And Arc M happens to be the one in Gotham. And so we will see in the Absolute Batman Arc M special, we'll see Batman basically break into that one, I believe. So we got that coming.
Worked out so well for him last time.
Really, really did, didn't it? Absolute Batman, we've got coming up a little bit later on this year. We've got this is Absolute Batman number 17. This is Absolute Poison
Look at the
Ivy.
design, man. It looks like
Yeah.
she's legitimately made out of flora, which I completely dig. You got
Yeah.
like the cordyceps on her tummy and the green on her feet, the little leaves coming out like a collar. It looks fantastic. Bjorn Barons does some great 3D modeling covers. It gives him that hyper realistic look. I still think his Godzilla Kong Justice League cover is just one of my favorites of
Yeah.
his.
Yep. Also got another cover by Mark Brooks. This is Mark Brooks'
Good
cover as
grief.
well.
That's
Just incredible.
pretty.
Yeah.
You got some varicose veins, but other than that, that's pretty.
Yeah.
But that's
Absolute
not all, Paul, because
Yeah.
like they announced Poison Ivy as like the next big character coming to Batman, but they did that for all of them. They announced that Hawkman from Absolute Evil or Absolute Justice, as the reveal at the end, he's going over to Jason Aaron's Superman. They had that beautiful cover we
Right.
shared a couple weeks ago of them flying toward each other and like the orange lit clouded sun, everything that looked amazing. And then Flash, they revealed it in the last issue, but we have it on the cover, that the reverse Flash or Zoom. We weren't sure at the time, but it's Eobard Thawne. He looks like a giant. It almost looks like the original Ultimate Spider-Man Green Goblin, how he's like the big monster with the horns and stuff. And there was one more that they announced. I'm trying to remember which was it. Giganta at Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Yep. I think so. Yep. Yeah.
So they're slating a lot of notable known villains getting big splashes in the beginning of the year for the Absolute.
Yeah. We're also told that we've seen absolute Dick Grayson and absolute Batman, but he's supposed to become more of a presence in this next year as well.
Where was
I mean,
he? I
he
forgot
was
where he was.
he was an EMT in Gotham City.
That's right, issue number 1 or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So he was
I
an
forgot that
EMT.
Robins even exists when I read Absolute Batman.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, because it really is kind of like it's more like a Frank Miller type thing.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, he hates
I'm,
Robin.
I'm the goddamn Batman.
Oh my god. You went with All-Star out of all the books.
Yeah, exactly.
This
Um,
kid just watched his parents get killed. Now he got kidnapped by a scary man
right.
who's cussing him out in the
Yeah,
car. Like,
yeah,
what?
yeah. So yeah, lots to look forward to,
Oh,
and that's just the stuff that we know about. There's obviously lots of stuff. One thing I will say is Scott Snyder has also been impeccable on promoting this as well. From sending out advanced files of the stories to, and in fact, you know what, they're actually I read somewhere that they're actually trying, DC is trying to get him not to hype it as much because he's kind of like um, uh, Paul Rudd. Like he gives away too much, so they don't tell him everything. You know, um, but yeah,
that's hard when he's writing it.
he does exactly. Um, but
Well, if some of these people that are fortunate enough to get these advanced copies wouldn't be douchebags and put the advanced copies out to public domain before they're released, they probably wouldn't have as big of an issue with it.
right, right, absolutely. Um, but
So
yeah,
if you get advanced copies of these books, of any books from any publisher, if you're lucky enough, fortunate enough to read them, they're doing that to help you out. So don't bite them in the butt for doing that.
right, exactly. You know what? Once Street Date comes along, have at it.
Yeah, don't ruin
Um,
it for all of us.
yeah, exactly.
Chill.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, the hype that he's doing, and not just for his own book, he's doing it for lots of books too. He's hyping up the entire absolute universe as well. Um, and he's doing, like I said, he's doing just a phenomenal job. Obviously, he's spending a lot of his time on the absolute Batman and hyping that one, but he is hyping everything, and he's out there on Twitter and everything. Twitter, sorry, X. Thanking everyone, and like I said, the issues, even the ones that we don't necessarily like, are showing up in the top 10 and the top 20s. So they're doing
8.2
they,
million units sold.
they're doing something right. Absolute Batman #1 is going on its 10th printing.
11th.
11th, sorry, 11th. Yes.
They're calling it the 10th print, but they also say facsimile. So
Right, exactly. So,
10th printing plus the Batman Day edition. That
right,
I guess because that was an edition, they didn't.
right.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's still technically 11. That's a huge, huge number of Batman #1s out there.
Yeah.
I think they're
Apparently,
selling for over the first print cover A selling for over $500 now, dude.
yeah, for a 9.8. Yep.
Mhm.
And apparently, Absolute Batman is, like, if you look back at 2025, Absolute Batman apparently accounts for like 35% of all DC Comics sales.
That's incredible. Yeah, out of the 8.2 million units sold, Absolute Batman 15 had over 300,000 copies and had around 3 million of those 8.2 units.
Mhm. Yeah. So just amazing. He's got his numbers. Look at that. Always at arm's reach. Look at that. Everything is right there.
Right
So,
there.
yep. So I'm excited to see. Happy with what happened in 2025. Like I said, I think the biggest thing for me anyway is that it's bringing people into the stores on Wednesdays. That's what we need. To help keep things going. But excited for what's coming in 2026 as well.
Can't wait.
Exactly. But that's going to be it. Again, before we go, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you're alerted whenever we upload new content. But that's going to be it. As always, I am Paul. He is Mark.
But we are Legion.
I got fooled because usually I move you to the other side because
Yeah,
you show
you
pictures
do.
and everything, but you didn't show any pictures this time. So, yeah, there you go. But
Picture.
we'll see you next week.